Здравейте! Днес ще ви покажем.
Hello, today we'll show you another adaptive shock absorber that came to us for repair.
Става въпрос за преден
This is a front adaptive shock absorber from a Lexus RX450 hybrid.
450 хибрид.
It's from the AL20 generation, produced between 2015 and 2022.
До 2022 година. За разлика от предният,
Unlike the previous Lexus RX model, which features air suspension and standard shock absorbers, this version comes with coil suspension and an adaptive shock absorber.
амортисьора
The shock absorber is manufactured by KYB.
японски амортисьор
It has an external solenoid for adjusting stiffness.
твърдяване. Става въпрос
This is a triple tube shock absorber.
трюбен амортисьор, тритюб амортисьор. Оплакването,
The owner who sent it to us reported that
който ни го изпрати, е, че
the shock absorber was making a lot of knocking noise.
качваме го на стенда
We're placing it on the test bench to show you its performance graph.
и да преценим от какво вероятно
And to determine the cause of the noise, we'll also demonstrate
твърдяването и мекотяването на амортисьор.
how the damper stiffens and softens, and of course, after the repair we'll show you
Всичко функционира безупречно.
that everything functions perfectly.
Първоначален динамометричен тест на амортисьора, за да видим
We're running an initial dyno test on the shock absorber
характеристика,
to see how it performs and whether there's a problem.
дали проблем в него.
The complaint is about strong knocking and poor road behavior.
В предишни видеа аз съм
As I've explained in previous videos, for a shock absorber to work properly,
един амортисьор. Графиката му трябва да е симетрична.
its graph must be symmetrical.
Графиката е Force versus Displacement, както се казва.
This type of graph is called force versus displacement. We've also connected the solenoid controller
За да видим после как се твърдява или мекотява.
to later see how the stiffness changes.
В случая
We can see that under maximum load, the graph looks bad,
неща при максимално натоварване.
which means the shock absorber knocks during
Амортисьорът тропа при много бързо сгъване или разгъване.
very fast compression or extension.
Чукането се чува.
The knocking sound appears when driving on bad roads, cobblestones, gravel, or uneven asphalt.
И
Now we'll open it to see what's inside and why it behaves this way.
ще го отворим, за да видим какво има вътре и защо така.
Oh, I forgot to show you the manual test.
Един ръчен тест да покажем как работи.
This will demonstrate how the stiffness control system works.
Това, разбира се,
This is before the repair.
виждаме ужасната
We can see the terrible dyno performance graph.
графика. Тук е сгъването на bound и rebound.
Here we have bound and rebound. When we apply electric current, the shock absorber becomes very soft.
Подавахме напрежение.
Here we've applied voltage, and you can see it's now in comfort mode, meaning soft.
За съжаление,
Unfortunately, both in comfort and sport modes, the graph is extremely poor. Here's the shock absorber disassembled.
на амортисьора, както казахме, тритравен амортисьор.
As mentioned, it's a triple tube design. Here's the main body and one tube.
Е, тук другата,
Here's another, and one more. When oil passes from one tube to another,
тази в другата, посредством соленоида се
the solenoid moves the bypass valve, changing the stiffness.
променя хода на маслото.
This is the working piston, and this is the piston rod.
Работното стебло, извиняйте, това е работното бутало, през него минава
The hydraulic oil passes through the piston and these small openings, creating resistance.
водачът.
This is the guide, which sits inside the shock absorber.
Тук в амортисьора и върху него стои.
On top of it sits the oil seal. In this case, the problem with this damper was
Този амортисьор е изгнилият маслен семерик
a damaged oil seal, which caused oil leakage.
на масло. Амортисьорът е изтекал. Когато
The shock absorber had lost its oil. When that happens, part of the tube remains empty.
и няма масло,
So when the piston moves up and down inside the tube,
местейки се горе-надолу в тръбата, има
there's a section filled with oil and another where it moves in vacuum.
позиция, в която обаче се движи в вакуум. Когато е във вакуум,
When it moves in vacuum, it creates no resistance, which appears as
спад на сила.
a sharp drop in damping force on the graph.
Соленоидния клапан
We also service the solenoid valve.
поменяме И ремонтираме.
Replace and repair everything necessary. This is precise hydraulics and fine mechanics.
След като сменим масния семеринг с нов, подобрен масен семеринг,
We use a new, improved oil seal. Then we reassemble everything.
всичко започва да работи адекватно.
And the shock absorber starts working properly, just like when it was brand new.
Едно от предимствата
One of the advantages of our repair dampers compared to new OEM ones is that,
нашата намеса амортисьора ще стане
after our intervention, the shock absorber becomes serviceable and rebuildable.
след много години
That means after many years of use, when it leaks again or develops an issue,
проблем, ще се върне при нас,
it can be sent back to us and we can service it again quickly and affordably,
отново да го обслужим
replacing the oil seal and any other necessary parts.
и да направим всичко.
We'll make sure it functions perfectly once again.
Събираме го.
Now we'll show you how it performs on the test bench. We're running a final dyno test of the shock absorber.
Амортисьора, след като сме го отремонтирали. Както преди малко ви
As we showed earlier, we replaced everything necessary for proper function.
показвам правилно.
Now the shock absorber is fully functional, rebuildable, and serviceable.
И обслужваем.
And if it returns to us again in the future, the next repair will be inexpensive.
Следващият му ремонт ще бъде ефтин.
As you can see, the graph is now perfectly symmetrical,
Но и в момента
but at the moment the shock absorber is still very soft.
това е така, защото към соленоидния клапан
That's because no electrical current is applied to the solenoid valve. Now we'll switch to the next mode.
пускаме го и на следващия режим, който да е
With electric current applied and see
електрически ток и да видим колко по-твърд ще стане.
how much stiffer it becomes.
Малко скучно ще
The video might get a bit boring at this point, but what else can I tell you?
ви кажа друго.
The shock absorber is now noticeably stiffer in sport mode.
В режим спорт, особено на високи,
Especially at high frequencies, you can clearly see how much stiffer it becomes.
и разбира се, ще пуснем и
And of course, we'll also run a manual test.
на който да покажем
Here you can see the resistance of the bound and rebound.
съпротивлението на баунт и ребаунд и сега ще си играем съвсем леко, ще
Now we'll slightly increase the voltage step by step,
и се вижда какво се случва.
and you can observe how the damping resistance changes accordingly. This test shows that after our repair, everything functions flawlessly, just like factory new.
Но всичко след нашата намеса работи безупречно, както е създадено.
Thank you for watching, and see you in the next video.